Hello everyone, this is Dino2 from the Final Fantasy mod team, here bringing you episode 3 of our Turks Talk podcast. This week we will be discussing romance and love in Final Fantasy. I'll let the others introduce themselves as well.
I'll go first. Sorry, we were talking a little bit before this podcast. So I'm Emily. I'm a mod on the Final Fantasy subreddit as well. Probably know my username is MLAHK7. I was on one of the earlier podcasts too, so glad to be back for this one.
Hi, I'm Aru. I've not done one of these podcasts before because I'm British. I'm also a mod, and and yes, it's great to be here.
I'm sorry we discriminate against British people. They're not allowed. It's Lil Von. Von, once again, always happy to be here. Let's get it.
All right, so we're going to start off by there is a plethora of new rumors and quote leaks, quote, as well as official Dissidia DLC teas. The rumors and leaks, which are probably not real. We got more 7 remake rumors about where it's going to end. We got Versus 15 rumors. Probably all fake, but thoughts?
Most likely fake, I would say.
Final Fantasy 7 ones, like I can see maybe. I think the Versus 15 ones are the ones that really discredit the whole thing because there's no way that they're gonna make like a different version of a game that just came out, what, like a year and a half ago? Or
Not even. I think it's
not
just a
even.
year old.
Yeah, the leak pretty much said it's like, oh, it's like Final Fantasy 15, except you get to explore the whole map and you get to do all these cool things. And
It's a
it's like,
bit
okay,
like
so you're saying,
wish fulfillment, isn't it? So
yeah. So they're saying it's Final Fantasy 15, but better.
better.
I don't, yeah, like I'm sorry, I just don't
Right.
believe that.
With the way they've been updating 15, why wouldn't they just put that in the 15 base game? Like, why make a
Exactly.
whole new release? Well, I guess because money, but you know.
Oh yeah, Square Enix is no stranger to greed. That and as far as the 7 rumors go, the Arrow and Hydro, which really weird naming scheme by the way. But I can see that happening. Having since 7 that we have had water and air spells with the most recent games. I think what really discredits the 7 rumors are the battle system ones where it's like it's ATB but you don't have to wait, which is basically Kingdom Hearts. And if you look at the gameplay trailers we have seen, I say gameplay with air quotes, you can't see it because where it's audio only, but if you look at the gameplay trailers and you see the menus they have there, it does look like Kingdom Hearts stuff. But they said from the rumors, it said something along the lines of, if the battle system is well received, it'll be the template going forward with future Final Fantasy titles. And to me, that just sounds not possible because Square Enix hasn't been able to stick with a battle system for the past 20 years. So
Yeah. Was it in the first one with Mike from Dark Pixel, or did I read this somewhere else that said they don't think the 7 gameplay footage is actually gameplay? They think it's just a pre-rendered cutscene that they threw on some quick menus to make it look like gameplay?
yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
heard that
that's
one.
weird. That's because here's the thing: if you look at like the past 15 years, gameplay footage have dropped for basically all their games. Like the 13 gameplay footage originally wasn't gameplay. If you look at versus 13 trailers from back in the day, Final Fantasy 15's gameplay looks nothing like that. And from interviews we've had since then, they've said as much as like versus 13 was more of an idea and a concept than an actual game. So in my opinion, a lot of everything we've seen has just been what is it called, their visual works departments just plastering a UI menu over it. I don't think any of that gameplay is real.
Yeah, so really, we still know absolutely nothing about 7 Remake and Versus 15, not real. But what is real is the Cydia DLC tease, which,
Yes.
yeah, at this point, when this goes public, we might know all these characters, honestly. But as of right now, it's
I would hope so.
it's speculation. So they teased the first 6 characters, saying their genders, which half of the franchise they were from, and if they were returning or new. So the first one was a male from one of the newer games, the newer half, which I think is 8 to 15.
I think so,
I
yeah.
think
Something
that's,
like that, isn't
yeah.
it?
It's either 8 to
So
15
what?
or 7 15, 15, one or the other. It's
Yeah,
a
somebody said had listed newer mid 8 and up, and when I tried to look into that, I didn't see, or at least I wasn't able to find any documentation or any reviews or anything saying, what exactly constitute as the newer half. For
Well, it's
me
about
personally,
half and half, isn't it?
yeah, it's
15,
15's an
you
odd
know,
number. So like if it was 16, 1 to 8
it
would
would
be half,
be,
and then 9 to
yeah.
16 would be half. So
right?
really, it's 8 or 7. It's somewhere in that range. But anyway,
Yeah.
so the first character is a male character who's from one of the newer games. He's a newcomer to Dissidia, and I heard that the first one is going to be a villain. I don't have any proof, but I remember reading that in Reddit comments.
Oh.
So the
A villain sounds
obvious choice here is Arden.
or Caius. There's no 13 villain, so
There is
it could
not.
very well.
Now, my problem with Caius is there was a discussion on the Discord once that Square Enix likes to pretend that Caius doesn't exist. And like
Oh.
in Theatrhythm and all the mobile games, there's very little Caius content, even though he's clearly the
I
best
didn't know
villain in 13. But we know who they do push as the villain of 13, which is ridiculous because they're not a villain. Is Sid Reigns.
Yes, give me Sid. Give me Sid Reigns or Caius. I think another weird thing with Caius is that he would be too similar to Kane, having the same color palette and the same voice actor. So if I get Sid Reigns, I'll be.
Yeah.
Sid Reigns might be who they take as the villain for 13, although Caius is such the better choice. But
Yeah, literally no one cares about games.
right. There's also the possibility that it's Vayne from 12.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I've heard that Vayne doesn't do well in popularity contests in Japan. So, but Vayne would be a good choice because Gabranth as the old villain for 12 didn't really make sense. But they could also throw in someone completely. I joked in the Discord like, and before Garland from 9, like.
Oh, what if it was Necron? That would be
No, please. If we're going that route, we might as well bring in Seymour too. No, we'll bring in you, the little bug from the very, very end. That's who it is.
You Yevon. They also said they don't want to do more than 3 characters per game until everything has 3 characters. Well, I'm assuming everything
Oh.
except 1 and 3 because they don't have characters. Anyway, so probably Arden, someone from 13, or
Oh, it's the 14 villain.
or
Probably,
14 villain.
they asked Yoshi P, who would you want in the game? And he wanted either Alfino, which is one of your, I guess, if 14 was a single player game, you would count him as one of your party members, or Xenos, who is the villain from the most recent expansion, Stormblood.
Yeah, I can see 14 villain being one of the first ones. But the next one is a male character new to the Cydia franchise from one of the older titles. Now, this can easily be narrowed down to 6, because, like I said, they don't want to add more than 3 characters, and 4, 5, and 7 all have 3 characters, and 1 and 3 don't have characters.
You're missing 2.
I'm missing 2, but it's a
The
popularity.
wonderful Caster 2. What if it's Guy?
Five doesn't have 3 characters yet. They don't, like, in Duodecim they had Gilgamesh, but Gilgamesh hasn't showed up yet.
But they said the Duodecim characters would eventually be coming back. So Gilgamesh will be returning eventually.
Yeah, my thing with that, though, is we have 6 DLC slots, and we already know that most of them are brand new. And, in the past they have said that all the Duodecim characters are coming back, but that's not possible if most of the new DLC slots are new. So are they going to do a second season of DLC?
Or maybe
Of course they are. It's Square Enix.
Right.
Well,
It's also a fighting game, so why not? This is the DLC milking game. Because this is the DLC that people actually buy.
I want all of them, but it's really hard when we know there's only 6 slots right now. But
right.
hopefully it'll just take the season and we get.
Let's hypothetical and throw 5 into the discussion too. There's Galef as a newcomer from 5.
I want what's the old man's name?
Galef?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Galef?
Galef.
That's not his name.
Or Galuf.
5?
I always
Yeah.
called him Galuf.
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 Galoof. But really, it's probably
Galoof.
it's Galoof, whatever. Dreams aside, it'll probably be someone from 6, and probably Edgar, Sabin, or Locke. My
I
money
hope it's
is on
Locke.
Edgar.
See, I'm gonna say Locke because he's like the dark horse.
I want Sabin because we don't have a hand-to-hand fighter yet.
No,
I would
Edgar.
like Sabin.
Edgar has
Yeah.
such potential with the tools, though. Like, there's so much they could do with him. He's
Or
also
Shadow. Could be Shadow.
And
could be Shadow or
Sabin
Setzer
already.
or General Leo. Let's like there's options from 6, but I feel like Edgar, Sabin, and Locke are the top 3 contenders there.
See, now I kind of want Shadow.
See, that would be cool.
All right.
We don't have an in.
Interceptor could be involved. That'd be neat. There is a lack of dogs in Dissidia. There's a discussion on this in the Discord the other day, so I brought up Renoa being a character because there's no dogs. Red 13, Renoa, Shadow. There you go. That's 3 dogs right there.
I just want a completely different Dissidia side game where it's just the dogs of the franchise.
When the character contest was like starting out and I was talking to friends about it, somebody mentioned we should have a small one for just the dogs of the franchise.
So like all 3 of them.
Well,
That'll be like a
there's
week
there's
contest.
2 dogs. If you look at what's his name, the Emperor looks like a dog too, and there's even
Okay, dogs for Final Fantasy 15 too.
Oh yeah, there you go. See, we're already up to 5.
Up to 5. Hey.
We
That's
can
a
make
lot.
this work.
as a minion that's based off the Emperor from 6, and it's a puppy minion. Gastal, yes, puppy Gastal.
Oh yeah, Gastal does look like a dog.
Mm-hmm. And they have a Gastal in 14 that'll follow you around, and you can rub his belly, and he'll roll over.
And anyway, then the next character was a female from the newer half of the franchise and is a newcomer. So this one is tougher.
Yeah.
I think Beatrix. If the next
Yes.
9 slot wasn't going to be Vivi, because come on, Beatrix would be a good spot.
I want Beatrix so bad. She's one of my favorite characters,
know.
and Roses of May.
That would be
Roses of May is absolutely gorgeous.
Beatrix, no, Yuna's probably coming back because we'll get to that. And also no more than 3 characters from 10. I don't know 11 well enough. 12, it could be Ash or Fran or Pinello, really, but probably Ash if they're going to pull someone from 12.
13, it could be Vanilla or
Vanille,
Fang.
Fang, Sarah.
Uh-huh.
I saw some arguments for Sarah because there's no Archer character in Dissidia right now.
Oh, please don't be Sarah.
I like Sarah better than Lightning, so...
I'm not against Sarah, but I just think her playstyle would be weird.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
against Sarah either, but I feel like they already have Lightning, and I mean,
And Lightning is
Really?
best sister, so
yeah,
well,
like they're
no,
sisters.
Sarah is better sister. Come on.
I mean, we already have one set of brothers in Cecil and Gomez, so why not some sisters?
Yeah, some balance there.
that's true.
Damn,
Actually,
wait,
I would
Cecil
be
and
opposed to
Goldberg
that.
are brothers. I didn't
Oh,
even know that.
oh wow, that's...
Spoilers.
Yeah,
No
we're gonna have to
spoilers.
Well-
edit that spoiler warning in the beginning
Guess I
now.
don't have to play that game anymore.
But
As far as females for the further
For 14?
14, you can have Lise, who is one of the main characters from the new expansion, and there was another female. Oh, this is just my personal pick because she is my favorite Final Fantasy character. Would be Isol from 14. From she's Shiva from earlier in, I guess, 14's life cycle. So yeah, either I would like to see Isol or Lise would be a really good pick as well.
and then 15. This is also a good possibility. I think is Aranea.
Well, she's the only option, really.
I
Oh my
mean, they
God,
could put
yes,
Luna in
please.
and make us all cringe, but
Or Cindy.
or Cindy
Oh,
and make us
God.
cringe even harder.
What would your favorite class
Or
be?
Iris
Like,
the Demon Slayer. Give me Iris the
Oh
Demon
yeah,
Slayer.
the Iris,
Oh,
the
yeah,
legendary
that's right.
Iris that we never saw.
Uh-huh.
But most likely Aranea, I think. It's a tough one. Which character this slot will be?
It's really open when it comes to the girls.
Because there's only like 6 of them, and they're all likely. And then let's see. After the female, there's another male character from the newer half of the franchise, which I don't think is locked to a villain, which could be a lot of people. Probably Vivi
Yeah.
is my bet.
If it's Vivi, please.
Now here's the
Because
thing. Hold on. Are you assuming Vivi's gender? Hold up, bro. Come on.
Vivi is a little
He's-
boy.
He said he's a little boy. I'm sure he
Right.
does.
The only one who doesn't have a gender is Quina, so that is the real
it might
character.
be Quina.
Well, if you have to have Vivi, you have to have Quina. They are a romantic couple.
Are they on the list?
They are. They got married.
For those listening, we have a huge list of Final Fantasy ships, and some of them are,
Or jokes.
yeah,
Amazing.
questionable. But aside from
Quina
that,
and Vivi are the one true pair. Let's be real here. So I'm pretty sure Vivi is going to be one of the DLC characters because he won our character contest, and he's
And he's
probably
won the official ones a couple of times as well.
right. And he's so popular that what's his name put him into Kingdom Hearts, even though he refused to do any characters he didn't design. Like,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because 9 was else, wasn't it?
yes.
well,
So
Setzer is also in Kingdom Hearts, and if I remember correctly, that's a 6th character. He didn't design him.
I thought he did.
Maybe he did.
I think he did. I think it's just 9. He didn't
Yeah.
work on for some reason.
Which is
That's
why 9 has a very different art style.
Yeah.
But Vivi is so overwhelmingly popular that he caved and put Vivi in. He redesigned him,
See,
but
Yeah, see, I like VV too. My only thing is we have too many mages, so I don't think we need another
Never
mage.
enough
yeah.
mages.
But they did say it was a popularity contest, and
Yeah, popularity. Well, there's two things that gets characters into Dissidia: popularity and uniqueness. And as far as uniqueness goes, VV basically loses there. But popularity,
Looks wise, though. Looks wise. He is pretty unique.
that's true.
I mean, he's a generic black mage, but
He is not generic. He's adorable.
I'm sorry, Aru, I didn't mean it. Please don't yell at me.
I mean, they put Onion Knight in there, which is like literally not even a character.
Also, Warrior of Light.
Job class.
So
Yeah, so
Okay, all right, fair enough.
other characters. We can't just only talk about Vivi for this slot. Who else could it be? No one from 10.
There's too many, man. There's really too many.
Could be someone from
Maybe
11 or
Aria?
14. Balthier, the
Give me-
leading
give me
man.
Snow.
Snow.
I want Snow.
Snow would be a good one.
oh,
I was joking about Snow, but okay.
okay.
See, I'm serious about Snow. I think he would be a good addition.
He would be.
And then you could punch him, so there's that as well.
Oh
I'm
god,
sure-
if
I'm
Snow
sure
got in, one of his
he would
attacks
be-
should be just to spam hero and annoy all the other characters.
Yes!
Hero.
That's the thing. He has a provoke ability in 15. So if they brought
That
him
is
over
what
to
that must-
provoke,
Mystery solved.
Let's see.
as far as 14 characters go, maybe Thancred.
I
He's
love
kind of-
Thancred. He's the one I remember.
Yeah,
Because he's
Thancred.
really, really hot. So that's why I remember his name. Don't remember anything else about that game, just him.
Here, let me tell you this now. Thancred is a playboy. You stay away from that man. And I'm telling you, he's just gonna break your heart. He's no good. Leave Thancred alone. I've been through this. I know.
Anyway, 15. I think any of the boy band would work.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, Ignis, I think, is the most popular.
I'd say Iggy, yeah.
So he's probably
Maybe Prompto? One
Yeah,
of those
I would
two.
prefer-
probably
Prompto.
Ignis,
I would
then
prefer
Prompto, then Gladio in that order.
Sorry,
Are there any
Gladio.
other? Core? No, Core wouldn't get in over the boy band. So like,
That's not happening.
anyway, next up is a female character who had previously been in the Dissidia titles from the newer half of this franchise, which means not Tifa. So it's either Prish or Yuna.
Let's hope it's Yuna.
I
It's
hope
probably Yuna.
It's probably
No.
is
And it-
Yuna, but
I don't want Tifa, honestly. I know we're kind of on the fence about whether Seven is the newer one, but like I played a lot of Tifa and I got her feints down perfectly. Like, oh boy, Tifa.
alright. And the last character is another male from the newer half of the game. So just re-listen to all of our discussion from like 5 seconds
BB
ago.
onwards.
Yeah, hit the rewind button by about 30 seconds, and you can figure it out probably.
And there's our discussions of what these leaks are, or teasers are. Hopefully, by the time this airs, we all know and we're all disappointed because it's all bad choices because that's what Square does. But we'll see. We might not know yet. The city will be 2 weeks old by the time this airs, so who knows? Alright. Anyway, so this should be being posted the day before Valentine's Day, and so we're talking about love and romance in Final Fantasy. There's a lot to discuss with that. We should probably talk the history of it. I think the first romance was in 4. right?
There's the kind of romance in two between Hilda and Gordon, but you don't really see much of it because he dies like straight away.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you
Spoilers
hear
if we
about
didn't
it,
mention.
but oh, he dies. Did you meet him? He's like, have my ring, dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right there. I think it is 4 that has the first real one.
Yeah, somebody put on our list that Firion and Maria have a romance in the novelization of 2.
That was me. Yeah,
was
in the
you?
novelization, they actually kind of hook up because even though they're not, they're foster brother and sister, they don't have a problem with that. So,
Right.
but it is Japan, so they don't tend to frown on that.
It's weird. But then Cecil and Rosa are the first, and they just kind of tell you that they're in love and that they're a couple. And that's about it.
They also do get married, have a kid.
That's true.
That's better than most couples in Final Fantasy.
Right. Kane also had a
Rosa
weird.
becomes a tough mom.
She is a tough.
She's not the toughest mom. That's Nora, but.
Goddamn right.
But anyway, also in 4, Kane had a crush on Rosa, but they never really went into that.
Yeah, that was just kind of briefly touched upon.
Right, like Golbez / Zemus, whoever used that to control Kane somehow. I don't know. And then Edge had his crush on Rydia, who just did not care at all. So.
And that was just plain awkward, given
Yeah.
everything.
I never really cared for Edge, and his obsession with Rydia just made me dislike the character even more. So.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right. But then there was that in 4. 5 didn't really have anything.
No, there's pretty much nothing in that one.
No, 6 had Locke and Celis.
Yeah, it
Locke
did.
and Locke's dead girlfriend.
Rachel.
But,
Locke's dead girlfriend.
So that's the thing. When I played 6 and we got into the volcano to revive his girlfriend, I don't remember there being any sort of build up to this chick at all. Did I miss something?
Yeah, there's flashbacks. Locke says about it at some point. He flashback to what happened. I'm not sure when that happens, but it's fairly mid-game, maybe?
Is it like the Ninja's Shadows flashbacks where it's only triggered by certain events, or is it?
No, I think it's story-based. I can't remember when it happens, though.
I can't remember
maybe
either, but I played through 6 once, so.
I've played through it maybe 3 times.
Yeah. So it was Locke and Rachel, and then Rachel died, and then Locke kind of moved on to Celis, but not really.
Yeah, it was kind of up in the air. It's will they, won't they?
Yeah.
Nothing official.
And then Setzer and Shadow both had romances in their past lives that they talk about, and I think that's it in 6. Not a lot of romance in 6. And then 7,
Oh boy,
no romance in 7.
This is a controversial one.
This is the great love triangle wars that lasted for years and years.
Well,
That
it's not
who
much of a
found
love
them.
triangle considering one of them's dead, so.
That's my argument, but no.
I mean, if
That wasn't
Aerith,
good enough.
if Aerith had lived, then you could make that argument, but.
You could, but she didn't.
Drop her a phoenix down. Everything will be all right.
So 7 had Aerith and Cloud, and then Cloud and Tifa,
Past Zack and Eris,
Zack and Aerith, and then
Oh
Vincent
my
and
God.
Lucrezia, and Hojo and Lucrezia, and Gas and Ifana. And
Eris's real mum.
yeah, there was a lot of romance in 7.
I
7
think that's when it started to kind of really take off. I think maybe Square kind of realised, hang on, look at the fan debate. Romance is good. And that's why with 8, they kind of amped it up.
7's also you started actually seeing a relationship and not just being told these two people are in love, like in 4.
Yeah, that's true, actually. It actually kind of showed.
Yeah. Oh, I had something else I was going to say about 7. I completely forget.
Is it about Barrett?
Oh, Barrett. Yes, Barrett and Cloud is the ones you're pairing. I did list that on my list of ships.
It is good. They could go on a date.
That's
You
true.
can say Barrett's your boyfriend.
That's true.
You can go on a date with Yuffie too.
Yeah, she actually kisses Cloud. She's the
Ooh.
only one who does.
Hey, that's a good point.
Oh, I remember. 7 is the only time in the game that 2 characters have sex.
Supposedly.
Oh, supposedly.
Well, I mean, like when you say the two characters have sex, you make it seem like
it's not shown on
like it was
screen,
just,
but
like,
like they
out
go
there.
to the bed together after a romantic scene and then wake up next to each other. Like it's
They were gonna make it a lot more like obvious, but obviously because it was such like low rating age-wise, well, no.
yeah, it's the only time it's happened in the franchise. I think that two characters slept together.
So far.
You could make an argument for 10 though at the lake scene.
Yeah,
Um,
with Kamari watching the entire time.
Yeah.
he likes it.
And then yeah, eight. There's no romance in 8 either. So
No, moving on.
uh, 8, is known for is the romance one. Squall and Renoa, and Laguna and Julia, and Laguna and Rain, and
Laguna gets around.
Irvine and Selfie, and
there's
Zell and
Rhino
Library Girl.
Cypher as well, wasn't there? Briefly?
Who?
Was there something about that? Rhino and Cypher?
Yes, Renoa and Cypher had dated previously.
Yeah.
And Quistis had a crush on Squall, and it was all over the place in 8, just like in 7.
Yeah, but it was more, I think, there was more focus on it. Whereas in
Yes.
7, it was there, but if you took it out, still got a game. With 8, not so much.
The whole story is driven by it.
Yeah.
And then, and Sid and Ida.
Oh, yeah.
Idea.
There's technically no romance, so Squall is dead.
That fan theory has been officially debunked. Katase, I think it was, said it. I can't remember.
Yeah,
He's
we
just
talked.
jealous he didn't think of it.
Yeah, that one's actually true. He was upset that he didn't think of that first. He did say Renoa is not Ultimisha, and that one will never ever be canon, but...
We know it's canon.
And then, 9, there's a little bit of romance in 9.
We got Zidane and Garnet,
Steiner and
Beatrix.
Freya
and then we
and
got
Fratley.
Sid and Hilda.
Sid and Hilda. Aiko with her crush on Zidane. That wasn't
Who can blame
forced.
her?
Yeah.
Quina and Vivi,
Kruna and Vivi, the best pairing,
the one true pairing.
right? I think that was it in 9?
Yeah, I think that is it.
Yeah, 9 was also, I think, like 7. You could take the romance out, and it still functions as a game. The story is not about it. And then 10, again, no romance in 10. It's not the center of the story.
None at all.
I think 10 is close to 8, where if you take the romance out, the story falls apart, but it's definitely...
It crumbles, yeah, there's
Yeah.
less to it. Because we've got Tidus and Yuna, and then Waka and Lulu.
And I think that's it.
Didn't
I
one
would
of the
actually, I would
two
disagree
go
with, that 10 story crumbles without the romance. I would actually disagree with that because the fact that Titus and Yuna are together actually, it doesn't really affect the story at all.
I think it would still work, but not quite the same intensity. Like Star-Crossed Lovers is a huge part of it.
Yeah, I
but
think
it would work, just not the
right.
same.
A lot of the motivation for both of them comes from their love for each other, and like Titus makes Yuna push her boundaries and step out of her comfort zone, which is why she rejects Yevon and stuff like that. I mean, I guess it would work if you just wrote them as really, really good friends, but
Then you have Oran and Riku, which
Right.
the fans love.
Wait, that's on our list actually though, right? Like you're joking, right?
yeah, sorry.
Um,
But they are stupidly
He's
popular.
about to get mad. She's like, "No, don't you do them like that."
Yeah, he's like over twice their age. He's pretty old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's dead as well, so that's that. I mean, spoilers.
There's
Let's
also
move on.
Jecht and Titus's mom, which is a completely
yeah.
one-sided relationship. So, from what we've seen of it anyway.
Oh, Seymour and Yuna.
Seymour and
Also
Yuna,
one-sided.
the other one true pairing. Braska and Yuna's mom, who we know nothing about their relationship.
Lulu and what's his
Chappa.
face? Chapu.
Chappa, not Chappa.
Yeah. Oh, whatever his name is. Waka's brother.
Speaking of brother and Yuna, even though they're cousins.
That is like the most uncomfortable one.
Oh, it seriously
It's
is.
bad.
It's so weird. Also, doesn't Riku have a crush on some Albed guy in 10-2?
Gipple?
Gipple?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh
I don't know if they
yeah.
ever outright state it, but
And wasn't it Pain and Nooch? Or is it like a fan thing?
I think I never
That was a
finished
fan
10-2. So.
Yeah, I think they were just kind of trying to pair despairs, weren't
Oh,
they?
also
Oh,
Shuyin and what's her name?
Len.
Len.
that's it. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah. And then 11. None of us have played
Pass.
11, so.
Wow, we suck.
12. I think I'm the only one who played 12 here.
Yep.
So 12 is weird because none of the romances are official. They're like, I think they're official in the sense that like they say it in the Ultimania, but like none of them are like in the game. Besides Ash and her ex-husband who's dead, Rassler, I think his name was Lord Rassler. I'm not sure. Someone will fact check me on that. But like Bosch and or not Bosch, Balthier and Fran, obviously, they're at least Vaughn and Pinello, I think, are confirmed to be love interests, except they don't show it at all in the game.
Classic Square Enix.
And then there's an implication that Bash and Ash have feelings for each other by the end of it. But again, it doesn't really go into it. It's just kind of there. And like, I don't know, you could argue Vayne loved power, so
OTP.
And then 13, Sarah and Snow. Fang and
Hope's
Vanille.
mum and Hope's dad.
Nora and whatever Hope's dad's name was.
Yeah, that's about it, isn't it?
Fang and Vanille. We're gonna discuss when we get to the shipping, Snow and Lightning, because we've discussed that before, like on the subreddit and then the Discord, and it just works so much better.
I know, right?
It just fits.
I was gunning for them.
Like, Sarah should have just stayed dead. Like, but...
Yeah, like Eris,
Don't do her like that.
And then, are there any romances in 14, Vaughn?
There is one romance in particular. With it being an MMO, there's side quests everywhere. I'm pretty sure there's love. You can find love pretty much anywhere. But there's one relationship in particular with two NPCs, Ida and Avir. And you first meet these guys outside the very first dungeon you do, Sastasha, if I'm pronouncing it right. And when you meet them, they're getting ready. They're like you, brand new adventurers getting ready to start their journey. And then you go into the dungeon and you come out, and then you see them again later, and their party is kind of arguing because I think Ida's healing is really crappy. And then you see them a third time, and Avir is dead.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Avir is dead. And what makes it better is Ida was decapitated by some boss monster or something. And what makes that Ida keeps his head in a sack with her.
I do not remember this.
One True Love.
It gets worse. So later on, once you hit level 50 and start doing hard mode dungeons, you do a hard mode of like one of the dungeons you saw them in originally. And apparently Ida went kind of insane and started practicing necromancy, trying to bring her husband back. And she turns, or her fiance back. And she ends up turning her fiance's head into like a void sent demonic monster. And you end up having to fight them off. And she falls into a bottomless pit. Yeah. And then it gets even worse. She gets brought back by another necromancer, and she ends up becoming the boss, one of the last bosses in I think it's a level 100 floor, the floor 100 in the Palace of the Dead. And it's just it is easily the most obvious couple in 14. Also, you will randomly see Ida's ghost appear in one of the city states. I think it's Gridania. Just her ghost will randomly appear in the middle of the night, just in random places. So yeah, that's like I said. There's romances all over 14, but that is the most prominent one. I feel like
That's good. And then let's see. So 15. There's Noctis and Luna.
Cindy and Prompto.
Cindy and Prompto. Also Aranea and Prompto. Prompto gets around. There's also...
he doesn't. His head, maybe.
Iris and Noctis, yeah. Iris totally has a crush on Noctis.
Oh, yeah.
And he's completely oblivious to it. There's one random side quest I remember actually doing where like you go pick a flower for Iris because Gladia's like, hey, Iris likes these flowers. And Noctis is like, cool, we get it. And he's like, all right, now you give it to her. And Noctis is like, why? I don't understand.
Oh no.
But that's the history of romance in Final Fantasy, and really it started off as just showing and not, or telling and not showing, and then it kind of got better, and then it kind of got worse because Luna and Noctis is really, these two people are in love. There's no evidence for it. We don't show you their relationship. Just believe it.
Also, they only met once when they were kids, and that's
Right.
it.
Like, and they're madly
really?
in love. Yeah. They met when they were kids, and then they were pen pals, I think. And they like constantly wrote
that's
to each
right.
other.
Yeah.
They wrote to each other through the dogs, and then also Luna was also pen pals with Prompto as well.
All right. So
Ooh.
why isn't Prompto and Luna the one true pair? Like,
Well, because he was really fat back then, and she wasn't into that. So
that's
Something
true.
else that's interesting with the Luna Noctis pairing is that on top of their one meeting from kids, if you watch Kingsglaive, it's actually part of the treaty that they're signing with the Niflheim Empire is that Noctis is to wed Luna Freya. So there's that as well.
Right. So they're in an arranged marriage. They met once when they were kids, but these two people are madly in love and are soulmates. Like,
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I mean, they were like talking back and forth for several years. Like,
yeah, it's like an online romance, isn't it? Basically.
yeah,
know.
like
yeah, I can
people
see that.
meet online and stuff.
That's true. I've seen examples of it happening at 14 as well, where people have met through the game and have married in real life, which is kind of neat.
yeah.
Aw.
But again, though, we don't see any of that really. We're just told it
No.
happens,
Yeah, in all fairness, we do not see much
Right.
of it.
and we don't see
Well, I guess I
light
don't think
or
that the romance was like the focus of 15. Like they should have spent more time on it, but I can
Just
see.
I think they
things.
wanted it to be as important as Titus and Yuna in 10. Because, like, they said they
Oh.
wanted Luna to be as, mascotty as Yuna is. So, like,
Well,
Mm.
okay. On
Yeah.
that note,
um,
Good
But,
luck with
like-
that.
like they also did a poor job of the romance in 13. Like, we never see Sarah and Snow, like, as a couple, ever. We're just told that they love each
mean,
other a lot. Usually by
No,
Snow.
there's a couple times. Like there's the fireworks show where they're together.
Yeah, but
There's
it's really awkward because the design-wise, Snow looks so much older than Sarah. Sarah looks
Yeah,
like
he
a little
does.
girl next to him, and it is
oh
beyond.
my God, I know. Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, it's just so wrong, and she looks like a schoolgirl, and it's just like
Yeah,
It is
Snow's like
Japan.
huge.
he is.
Anyways.
I mean, yeah, like, I don't think they've really done a good romance since Titus and Yuna.
I have to agree, yeah. Although Fang and Vanilla wasn't too bad.
No, but that's not
That's not
official.
like official though.
It's not official, no, but if it was, it would be good.
Yeah. But anyway, so favorite romance out of all the ones we've listed so far, which is a lot. You can all probably guess what my answer is going to be, so
Yeah,
Is it mine's Titus and Yuna? That's my favorite.
it's a good one.
that's a good one.
I
I'd
just
say
like it
Garnet
because
and
it was so
Zidane.
natural.
Yeah, I think that's why I like Garnet and Zidane as well, because they kind of become friends first. You see them kind of evolve. It's not love at first sight, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
it is for Zidane.
Yeah, but that's kind of like lust at first sight. And then he like falls in love with her mind, and then it's,
Yeah.
proper romance.
But Vaughn, do you have a favorite romance in the series?
Ida and Navir, because if not, I wouldn't get all those cool side quests.
All right, we'll all just say our favorite game.
Honestly, I'd probably have to go with Titus and Yuna, just because I feel like that's one of the few romances that is actually portrayed really well. I know you're gonna hate me for this, but I'm really not a big fan of the Renoa Squall relationship. Because to me, it feels like she's really on board the Cypher train for like the first half of the game, and then just like I feel like Squall's the comeback
The rebounds?
guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel like Squall's the rebound, and I think like the best part for me in the relationship when it's where they really show them really getting closer is that point where I think they're leaving Fisherman's Horizon and he's giving her a piggyback ride. Is that right?
Oh, it's when she's unconscious, because Ultimisha's half possessing her, half not, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong, and he just picks her up. He's like, I'm going to take you to Eshtar so we can find Ellen, so she can send us back in time so I can find out what's wrong with you.
Yeah, just
And
casual stuff, you know.
Yeah, he walks her as a piggyback ride, and he sets her down, and he pours his heart and soul out to her because he's talking to a wall, like he told Quistis to do.
Oh,
Classic.
hold on. So did she not respond at all? Was she
Nope.
like passed out the entire time?
She was passed out the entire time.
Okay, never mind then.
Like, the romance is weird because you see, like, Renoa develops interest and, like, tries to force herself on Squall for, like, the entirety of Disc 2, and then she falls unconscious, and then Squall's like, oh shit, I actually do care for this girl, and then he pours his heart and soul out to her, but she's not there. So...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's for me, the romance in 8 isn't portrayed well. Like, for a game where the actual logo is Squall holding Renoa, I feel like it's one of the weaker romances just because it's not really shown.
The trouble is, a lot of the scenes come through having her in your party. So if you don't have her with you at all times, you miss out on these little key scenes that see them growing closer.
Right.
So,
like, when you go back to Garden in Disc 2, if you bring Renoa with you, there's like 4 scenes with like Squall and Renoa just hanging out, chit-chatting.
That's cool. Yeah, see, I didn't use Renoa a lot. She was
me neither.
My thing with it, when I played 8, I had sort of this mindset that we were all... I don't know, I really got into 8. That I had the mindset that, we're all mercenaries and we're hired by you, so there's no need to have you in the party because you're the client. So I rarely actually had Renoa in the party.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense, but it's not what the game wanted you to do.
The game should have told us to do that.
Right. If they ever
should have wrote down some more instructions and let me know what I was
or
supposed
like
to do.
forced her into your party, like just they could have written some reason why Renoa has to go back to Garden with you instead of whoever.
Yeah, easily.
Because like, you do the whole thing. Garden is freaking out, and then
I'll make sure to have Renoa with me so I can see those things because that sounds interesting.
The first one is she wakes Squall up and asks for a tour of the garden, and you can go to each little like section, and Squall will give a little bit about it. But it stops the moment you go to where the elevator is, so you have to like walk to one area, then walk back to the other area if you want to get all of them, all the little scenes. Because once you go to the elevator, like go fight Norg now. And then she wakes up Squall again after you beat Norg, and she's just like, let's hang out. And then Squall's like, fine. And like, you walk out, and immediately the plot dings again. Also, when Garden first starts moving, and you go out to the balcony to see it, there's an actual, like, movie that you can miss, with Renoa, like, looking out, and, like, her hair blows in the wind, and Squall looks on at her, like, affectionately, I guess? I don't know. But there's a lot you could miss with Squall and Renoa if you're not paying attention or using her. I will defend it to death. If no one's picked up on this by now, by the way, loyal listeners, Squall and Renoa is my favorite romance because I am an obsessive 8 fanboy. So,
well, there has to be at least one.
Right, it's me. I'm the only person in the world who likes 8. So,
yeah, well, you know what they say: we can't all have good taste.
Oh.
Well, as we've discussed, some of us like cottage cheese and blue cheese, so really, no one has good taste. But yeah, what's your favorite not canon romance? Mine is obviously Lightning and Snow, the one true pairing.
Yeah, I actually quite like that. I think they'd get on well together.
They balance well.
Yeah. Because he's obnoxious, but she can like knock him flat, you know?
Right. I think she does knock him flat several times.
She does. Many times.
He needs it.
He did.
He did.
He still needs it. I didn't play 13.2 or Lightning. I didn't play 13.2 much. I didn't play Lightning Returns at all, but he apparently just gets worse as the series goes on.
He does. He does not get better.
I've seen this design for 13.2 and I'm like, why? Why did they do this to him?
As far as non-canon pairings, I think I like Sarah Knoll from 13.2 a lot. I was really kind of half expecting Knoll to be on some Mr. Steal Your Girl type stuff, but that didn't quite happen. Yeah, Sarah and Noah get along really well in 13 too, and I like their
Right?
dynamic a lot.
Like they
And they
have
look good
chemistry.
together as well.
They have
You
chemistry,
know.
and Snow and Lightning have chemistry, but Snow and Sarah do not. Anyway, favorite couple, favorite romantic. Um, your favorite act of love in the
Yule
series?
and Caius. I like the relationship between Yule and Caius.
Right.
Now, you could argue that might be romantic. I think it's really more of a father-daughter sort of thing almost, but like the way Caius talks about Yule in that final fight is like, whoa, hey man, calm down. You're like 3 billion times her age because Caius is near as old as time, but
Right. Yeah, like I said, I didn't finish 13-2, but Yul, Caius, and Null all had some type of weird relationship. Like I didn't get, even like reading the plot summary. I was like, so Null and Yul are a thing, except Yul just hangs out with Caius all the time, and Caius is obsessed with her, and like
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, but 13-2 isn't the pinnacle of writing in the series by any means. So,
Not really. I like, yeah, like I agree with you. The writing's not that great, but I do enjoy the Caius Yule Noel dynamic because the way it worked was Caius and Noel were like protectors of Yule. She's basically like a Cirrus or whatever, and it was their job to more or less just keep her safe. And so Caius watching her die and be reborn over and over again throughout eternity, more or less, kind of drove him mad. So while the writing's not super great, I do really enjoy that dynamic between the three of them. And I think honestly that could have served really well to be its own game instead of tacking it onto the 13 universe. But like we said, Square doesn't make good decisions.
no. Like I knew the basic premise that Caius hates everyone because Yul constantly dies and he's just trying to save her, even if it means destroying all of reality because, reasons. Okay. Your favorite act of romance in the series? The most romantic moment? What do you think it
Has
is?
to be the kiss from Final Fantasy X.
The lake
I just
scene?
think that, yeah, that is just so beautiful. And it's like, they're at a really sad moment in the game. They're both down about various things. They try and be happy, it fails, and then they kiss, and then it's all romantic. It's lovely. It just stands up so well.
Yeah.
It's like a whole music video too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a long one,
It's
yeah.
it's the one song that has lyrics intended that's not Otherworld. It's Suke. I'm gonna ruin this.
Suteki Dane or something.
Suke Dina. Yeah.
Some Japanese words.
Yeah.
It's Isn't It Beautiful or something.
Right.
Yeah. Lovely moment.
It is. Yeah, that's probably my favorite too, even though I like Squall and Renoa. They don't really have romance moments. Like there's the bit on the Ragnarok. Am I the only one who finished 8?
I know what you mean, but I'd like to think he'd save her regardless.
Right. Yeah, there's the bit where Squall freaks out and saves her, and then there's the scene when they're coming back on the Ragnarok where
Oh, in the chair.
yeah.
Oh, the space isn't it the space scene is really nice, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
That's the bit I uploaded to the drive to use this gameplay, by the way. So that should be on there.
Nice.
But like that's romantic. But that's really, it's more of like Squall developing as a character than romance.
Yeah, because I like to think he'd have done it regardless. Like, if that had been anyone, he would have gone out there. Maybe not cuddled them, but he would have gone out there.
I don't know if he would have gone out to save Irvine or
I
Selfie. Oh yeah, you would. But
But we totally didn't mention Irvine and Selfie when we were listing off them. Irvine and Selfie
I think
is.
I mentioned it briefly.
Yeah, I think you did. They're not quite canon, are they?
They're canon, I think.
They're canon.
Oh, I hope they're canon. They're adorable.
I know. There's a scene because everyone knows the orphanage twist that they all know each other but they can't remember except for Irvine.
But GFs.
Yeah.
Well, that explains that then.
Yeah, but there's
Party Force ruined my childhood.
when Irvine first joins the party, and he drops a couple lines like, "Oh man, I know everyone, but no one remembers me." You get onto the train, and like he tries really hard to hit on Selfie, and then like Squall walks in, and Irvine's like, "Man, she's not receptive to me," and she walks out. And then if you go talk to Selfie, she's like, "My heart's beating really fast. I don't understand what's going on." And Squall's just like, "You're nervous because of the mission," and walks away.
Classic school.
Does not understand what's going on. Just how he was completely oblivious to Quistis hitting on him nonstop.
Oh, that was so funny. So funny. So brutal. Funny.
Go talk to a wall. I had a somebody messaged me on PSN, one of those random, probably scammer persons, who's like, I just want someone to talk to. And I told him to go talk to a wall, thinking of that scene.
Classic school.
You brought up a good point here in the itinerary, how all the male characters have romantic interests, but none of the female characters.
Yeah, the main protagonist. So I was
Yeah.
thinking, people argue, is it Terra, is it Celis? But media presents it as being Terra, as being the main character.
Yeah, I would argue
Yep.
Terra over Celis.
Yeah, I why people, argue, but yeah,
I
she doesn't
think
have a love
it,
interest,
I think it changes. Like it's Celis afterwards because you play with the second half of the game. You start as Celis and you can actually finish the game without even looking at Terra again.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the World of Ruin isn't. I think the World of Ruin's like a third to a quarter of the game, not even. So I don't think Celis is that big of a protagonist compared to Terra.
I mean, yeah, I agree. You're right. Like it's unarguably Terra for at least half of it, but she gets kind of dropped off. Like if we said the same thing about another Final Fantasy game, like say, what if Squall did die at the end of this one? And you started playing as someone else. You couldn't really argue that Squall isn't the protagonist when he's dead. And with Terra not being in the party, she might as well be as good as dead. But
Yeah,
yeah.
Like I think the World of Ruin isn't half the game. I think it's like a much shorter period of time that people give it credit for. So I think Terra.
It just depends. It just depends on what you do. Like I'm pretty sure, like once you leave that island, I think you can basically go fight Kefka.
You need to get a party of 4, which is I think Edgar, Setzer, and Sabin is the default party you get, and then once you get them, you can go fight Kefka immediately. But yeah, so it has end game content, but for the most part, I think World of Ruin is pretty short. Whereas Terra, even when Terra's not in the party before World of Ruin, like when she trances out and flies away, like the plot still revolves around her. Like the focus is finding Terra.
She gets the plot moving as well.
Until World of Ruin hits.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's unarguably Terra, but like I feel it changes after the World of Ruin.
Yeah, I think that's why it's such a difficult one to pin down.
If you want to go off word of God, Square Enix has straight up said there is no protagonist for 6. It's
they
everyone.
don't know what they're talking about.
Right, clearly. If there's one thing we can take away, is Square doesn't know anything. But let's say, for argument's sake, it's Terra. That she's not romantically linked to anyone. Lightning isn't romantically linked to anyone. Ash,
I
is,
keep forgetting about Ash.
yeah, she's not. She is and isn't the protagonist, because we could argue about 12, who's the main character too. But she, like I said, she had a love interest who died, and it's implied she has another one, but they flat out no real love interest in 12.
There's no real kind of emphasis, like, say, Tidus.
Yeah. Yuna does, and you could argue Yuna is the main protagonist, and she is in 10 too.
I think she... Oh, yeah, she is in 10 too, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Tidus and Yuna definitely share the main spot. Now, obviously, if you look at 10, it's got Tidus on the cover, and you play as Tidus, and he narrates. But aside from that, if you look at the actual story itself, Yuna's just as prominent as Tidus is. It's just as much her story as it is his.
Yeah.
Titus even says that towards the end. Before
Yeah.
Yunalesca, he says, this is our story. But it's an interesting thing that you pointed out, because I never noticed it before.
No, I mean, neither. I was just kind of going through the romance. Like, how Terra and Lightning, they don't have any. I mean, Terra's got kind of something to start with, but that's more kind of like flirty, Locke being
Right.
Locke.
Locke and Edgar both like flirt with her when she shows up. But
Yeah, and then again, pretty girl,
Yeah, pretty mysterious girl.
And Lightning never gets any kind of... I mean, I know people ship her with Hope, but that's just another
That's
thing
weird.
entirely.
Like
Older Hope, maybe, but not Little Hope. No way.
Like treats her as a second mom. It's weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
But this is fandom, so...
yeah. Like I've been playing Tales of Berseria, and there's a brother-sister relationship between two of the characters, and it's definitely a JRPG because they keep setting up lines to set up the shipping, and I'm like, stop, this is weird. Like,
Yeah, different values, different values.
yeah, but it's just something I never noticed. Also, but moving on though, Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa is next on our list.
Oh my gosh.
So
Notorious love triangle started it all.
I know. So I was always a fan of Aerith over Tifa.
See, Tifa
Really?
over Aerith.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
Tifa
time.
over Aerith. Come on.
Yeah.
Wait, why? Okay. Let us
Yeah, come on.
explain yourself.
Convince us.
Hold on, Vaughn. What's your opinion? Am I all on my own here?
On what now?
Aerith or Tifa?
Barrett.
All right.
I could really go either way. I like both. I'm not picky.
I know, but you have to choose.
I guess Tifa because Aerith's
Oh,
dead.
God damn it.
Yes.
Oh my God. All right. When I first started playing 7, I didn't know Aerith died, and I liked her better than Tifa. So
Yeah,
I've
that makes
always
you
just
feel
kind of been
on
on
the
that
inside.
side.
I was gonna say, I think Tifa and Cloud actually do have romantic moments though, whereas Aerith and Cloud, they're more just friends. And the only times and I think also Aerith was only really attracted to his personality because it was Zack's personality.
There's even a point where she says something about wanting to like Cloud for him, but then she dies soon afterwards. So you could argue if she'd lived, maybe she would have loved Cloud for Cloud. Maybe she was starting to, but to start with, it was because of Zack. Basically.
Yeah, but she died. So
She did die.
so really, there's only one real answer to that triangle. But because had
What
Aerith
about
lived,
Sid and his wife? That perfect relationship of him constantly verbally abusing her.
she wasn't. I don't think she was his wife, was she? I mean,
Yeah, more
she
or
made him
less.
tea, but does that really make a woman your wife?
They get married, don't they?
Do they?
Do they?
I think they're married. I assume they were married.
Aren't they married in one of the kind of spin-off? Or am I just imagining that?
I mean, you don't live with a woman for like 20 plus years and not have any sort of relationship with her.
Well, yeah, he yelled at her to make tea, and she did it because she felt bad because she ruined his dreams of being in space. So,
Ah, romance.
Very healthy relationship there.
I mean, 7 is chock full of good relationships. How about Hojo, Lucrezia, and Vincent? That love triangle.
Oh my god, who would pick Hojo
Yeah,
over
very wholesome.
Right,
It's like,
Hojo's always been an evil prick. Even back then, what the hell was
And he's,
Lucrezia thinking?
really skanky looking. And Vincent is Vincent, you know.
Right, Vincent's Vincent. But
Yeah,
Oh.
who wouldn't want that?
right, he has that nice metal hand thing.
Oh yeah, but this is before he had the
Right, this was back when he was just a Turk, and he wore a suit and tie.
he had nice short hair, you know. He looked really.
He looked like a standard Japanese man.
He did, which is not a bad thing.
No. And I can't even remember what Lucrezia looks like, but Hojo was just always a fucking prick.
Long blonde hair.
She's quite pretty, long ponytail, glasses, but you know,
Mhm.
really pretty.
I guess, because she was also a scientist, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's why she did it basically.
Yeah,
Like,
she just left Vincent for Hojo because they're both scientists, so, I don't know. It was dumb. Also, it caused all the problems in 7, so,
just a few.
gave birth to Sephiroth. If anyone doesn't know that, Lucrezia and Hojo are Sephiroth's parents. He's not actually the spawn of Genova.
No, that's just him being extra.
Yeah, it's just him wishing he was Genova's child.
I mean, he has Genova cells, so
Right.
that's about it.
Yeah, he has Genova DNA in him, but his birth parents are Hojo and Lucrezia, so.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he takes after her and not Hojo.
Well, personality-wise, I would say he's more Hojo.
To be fair, he was all right before he went mad.
Yeah,
Like,
but
wasn't he supposed to be a pretty decent guy? And then, like, you know,
he just
found
kind
out
of
the
decided to
truth.
go crazy one day for no reason.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Burn down an entire town worth of people because of some lies a professor told you, you know.
Classic.
Yeah. I hate Sephiroth's motivation. One day we're going to have a 7 discussion where I talk about how much I don't like 7, and everyone can shit on me because I have the wrong opinions.
Amazing.
I mean, Sephiroth's motivation makes some sense. Like, he was really upset when he when he realized that he wasn't like a real person. Like, he had a midlife crisis, more or less. He was like, oh shit, I'm not a real boy. And for what it's worth, you have that with a lot of the Final Fantasy protagonists. Cloud realizes that his memories aren't his own, that they're Zack. Cloud has a whole mental breakdown, and Tifa has to help him rearrange his memories. Zidane literally has the whole "I'm not a real boy" thing too happen, where he's on what's the name of the planet, Terra.
Terra,
and the really sad song "You're Not Alone" plays while he's like kicking. It's like one of the best parts of 9. Tidus has the same thing, but this is why I really like. This is where Tidus really made up for how ridiculous he is. When he realized he wasn't a real boy either, he was just like, all right, whatever, let's go finish doing this shit that we were doing.
Yeah, he didn't tell anyone, he didn't whine about it, he's just like, right, okay, gotta do what I gotta do.
That's why I love Tidus as a character, Tidus.
Yeah.
Because if Tidus at the start of 10 learned that, he would have whined to everyone about it. Like, I'm not real, I'm going to die if we beat Sin. But like, by the end of it, he's like, okay, there's more important things at stake here. I don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sephiroth had the same thing. He had his own crisis when he realized that, he was really not much more than a lab experiment. And when he realized that, nothing else mattered, because he realized that, to a degree, his life didn't matter much more outside of being an experiment. Or at least that's the way he felt at the time. So Sephiroth's motivations make sense.
I get having the breakdown, but going from that to deciding everyone on the planet needs to die...
It's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Kuja had the same reaction, but Kuja was narcissistic as fuck the entire game. So his response was, if I have to die, then everyone else should. But it made sense for his character. His point. Whereas Sephiroth just kind of... I don't know. I never liked Sephiroth. I never liked Kefka's motivations either. I don't like the popular Final Fantasies. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, Kefka doesn't have any motivations. He's the Joker. He destroys things just for the sake of it.
Yeah, try telling that to a 6 fanboy. Oh my god. That Kefka's not the greatest villain in the world. Whew.
He's kind of scary.
He's a good villain. I mean, he's not the best, but he's a good villain. I enjoy Kefka for what he is.
Yeah, it's kind of good to have one like him. It's just like, what's he gonna do? He's like, not.
What else we got on our list to talk about? Oh, so this one is all for you, Aru. The fandom shippings.
Oh dear.
Because this is your specialty.
It is. It's kind of like how some parents are so popular. Yeah, in game there is no reason. Like
Aaron and Riku.
Yeah, they talk twice that we see. Maybe not even that. And yeah, they're like second after Tidus and Yuna, I would say. They are so popular.
I don't get it. He's like Emily said, he's like 2 or 3 times her age. And also,
in some ways, they kind of age him back to how he is when he's with Jekt and the others. So, when he's like a young monk, they find a way for him to go back to that age. What? And that's still not great, but...
Okay, because he's still mentally that old, I'm assuming, unless they just send Riku
sometimes
back in time.
Sometimes he can't remember, sometimes Riku goes back in time,
Okay, but Aaron at that point in time was a Yevon monk. He would never consort with an Albed.
I don't know, she isn't wearing much. He might have been swayed.
That's true, but she's also 14, and Aaron was still an adult.
Hey, it's fandom.
Because Jekt at that point had like an 11-year-old son, and they're like the same age.
Hey, it's fandom. Yeah. I mean, oh my god.
What are some other good ones?
Yeah, that's one. Obviously with the Slash parents, Zack and Cloud is really popular. Right. Cloud and Sephiroth.
Squall and Sephiroth. Cloud and Sephiroth. Squall and Cypher.
Yeah, they're really popular. Sedan and Kuja is really the most popular,
They're
even though they're
brothers.
brothers.
God.
Yes. Doesn't
Fandom.
count, apparently.
Does Ferris ever get paired up with anyone from Five? Because I think Ferris is easily my favorite Five character. Does any ever nice fan pairings for her?
Well,
I
listen,
don't tend to come across many with her.
a pirate's true love is the sea. Ferris can't be paired with anyone.
She's paired with the sea.
Right.
And that's
She
how
will
she likes
forever
it.
love the open sea. She's a true pirate.
Then again,
Fair
with Five, there's not that many kind of fandom pairings. Maybe Bart's and Lena.
Yep.
Even then, people don't tend to like Lena, so...
Oh, Lena's very bland and has no personality.
Exactly. Then you got Faris, who's like best sister, so...
Yeah, Ferris is the real best sister out of all the series.
Oh yeah.
It's true.
Like if she's honestly next to Gilgamesh, if Five gets another character, she's my pick, even though it'll probably never happen.
Oh, she would be amazing. But she is one of the people's favorite characters, so it might happen.
Right. Most of the cast of Five, like Galuf and Ferris, are both popular characters.
Galoof.
Like Krill and Lena are like, who cares?
Krill's okay,
I
but
love
Lena's just so bland. There's nothing to her.
Yeah, that's true.
Look.
And honestly, my love of Krill mostly comes from 14, but she's great in both games. I don't care.
Well, her whole bit in Five is she's Galuf's granddaughter, and like that's her only shtick. She's pretty bland aside from that too. But I mean, Bart's is also very bland. So,
if I remember correctly, she's a little spunky. She has a little bit of attitude.
Yeah, she's a bit like Aiko in a way. She reminds me a bit of her. She's got a bit of sass to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Galuf is right.
Good old Galoof.
Galuf. Somebody write Square Enix and ask for the official pronunciation of
What
that.
should be the official pronunciation? And we're just mocking it.
I don't. You know what? Even if I'm wrong, I don't know if I could be able to force myself to say. What'd you call him? Galuf?
I called him Galuf. That's how I've always pronounced it.
I call him Galuf.
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 Yeah, not Galoof.
Galuf, and Galuf. Wow, this is okay.
3 different
That's pretty
pronunciations for
interesting.
the same character.
Yeah, that is actually pretty interesting.
It's like it goes back to the Titus or Titus debate.
Oh, I called him Titus for so long. No, Titus, sorry. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh,
I called him Titus, and then Kingdom Hearts called him Titus, and then I think Dissidia called him Titus or something like that. But then
Titus.
Square came out and said it was Titus.
Yeah,
Officially.
he's Titus.
yeah.
But I accidentally call him Titus every now and then.
It
I
makes
do
more
too.
sense. Tide, water, following squall, you know.
Yeah, like 10 is all about water. There's water everywhere in 10.
Get with
Did
it,
you guys
Square.
see that? Did you guys see the Tide Pod post on the subreddit? Where it
No.
was the thread is titled "Sin's gonna eat this pod," and they named Titus Tide Pod. And like no one got the joke. It's funny because
Oh,
no
God.
one got the joke.
I did see
Explain it.
that, and I did laugh at that.
They had to explain it like 3 different times in the thread, and I was just like, "Damn, that is a really bad joke."
Yeah, for when this airs in a month and the meme is forgotten, there's a meme going around on the internet right now about how there's a study where adults eat more Tide Pods, you know, the little bleach laundry detergents, than children. So it just became a meme that people eat Tide Pods. So
There's also an anthropomorphic anime girl personification of the Tide Pod as well. Maybe we'll link that.
There would be. There would be.
who knows what the memes are going to be in a month, though. So, but are there any other really weird fandom pairings besides Arin and Riku?
Oh my god, where to start? It's just, I mean, Tidus and Jacked is quite popular.
Alright.
It's like not a massively popular one, but it's got its fans.
I don't get the incest ones, so.
There's a really good fandom pairing in 14 of when you run through 14, there's a zone called Ishgard, and you're not able to get to Ishgard until Heavensward. But there's one of the more high-ranking knights from Ishgard. His name is Hachifant, and I could very well be pronouncing his name wrong. And he is more or less him and the other, I guess, like one of the higher knights in Ishgard. They're basically the captains of your fanboy club. And the way there's been debate on the way Hachifant interacts with the player character, and even going into like the way he responds to him using some of the Japanese words has made it very ambiguous as to whether or not he sees the Warrior of Light as maybe a little bit more than a friend. But
Wow.
yeah, there's a which if you play as a male character can leave some really weird connotations. But yeah, there's a lot of shipping as far as Hachifront and Warrior Light and I can't remember the other guy, but there's another really high-ranking not Imperial, Ishgardian officer who is, like I said, more or less the president of your fan club, and those are always fun pairings.
It's interesting, the MMO love angle for the player character. Like, the MMO that two MMOs that I've played at any length are WoW and The Old Republic. And The Old Republic had love interests, but that was like story-driven, half BioWare, half MMO, so that made sense. But like, I couldn't see like WoW or a standard MMO doing like a love angle thing. It's weird.
Yeah, 14. I don't think 14 will ever like officially allow you to pair with any of the NPCs or anything like that. I think that's also another tab on our list of things to discuss. But as far as official pairings go, I don't see that happening in 14. Yeah, that's just really it.
Yeah.
Is that disappointing?
Yeah, Thancred is out of reach,
No, that man will break your heart. You leave Thancred alone. I know the bad boys seem interesting, but no. Stay away from him. I'm trying to help you.
I appreciate it. He is a bad boy, though.
One day I'm going to finish 14 and I'm going to know who you're talking about.
He's amazing.
Well, he's amazing on one hand, and he's a bad boy, avoid him at all costs on the other, so.
He's naughty, but he's amazing.
The thing about Thancred, and I'm not going to say anything because spoilers, because I want you guys to play it eventually, but when you play through the initial campaign for 14, it's funny because Thancred always shows up, like, right after he's needed. Like, you'll fight a primal, like, you'll fight Ifrit, and Thancred's like, yo, you did a good job there.
Yeah,
or
that is his role.
Yeah, you'll fight off a bunch of bandits, and Thancred's like, hey, good job cleaning those guys up. He just shows up at the last minute, and it's hilarious. And
yeah, he didn't need his help or anything, no.
Exactly. Thancred is a good for nothing. You stay away from that man. There's nothing but heartbreak in your future if you pursue Thancred. Leave him alone.
Alright, next on our list here to discuss is, we kind of touched on it earlier, is romance really important? The plot of Final Fantasy? Because we talked about how 8 would fall apart without it, 10 might, but like 9 and 7 would probably be fine.
I think it adds to Final Fantasy. Like, it adds to the story. I don't think it'd be, quite the same.
I think it needs to be done right, because like I've criticized it before. We all have that Sarah and Snow is not like the greatest romance, and it kind of detracts from the story because Snow is constantly going on about Sarah throughout 13, and it's one of the criticisms of the game is Snow's character. So.
Yeah, and we barely see any of Sarah either.
Right, and
she's kind of ice for most of the game.
Yeah, and one of the, again, criticisms of 15 is that Luna and Noctis seems kind of forced because Luna's not in the game at all. So,
oh, that's interesting. Yes, that's pretty much a similar thing.
Yeah, like if it's done right, because I think Tidus and Yuna really, their pairing makes 10 pretty much perfect, and Dagger and Garnet. Her romance with herself, that really made 9 a better game. Zidane and Dagger.
Yeah, it helped, but again, it could have been,
Right, Zidane could have not same thing with the other romances in the game. Well, Fratley and Freya is pretty essential to her character.
And I'd say Sid and Hilda.
Yeah, Sid and Hilda definitely need to be romantically involved. And Fratley and Freya,
Beatrix, Steiner.
Beatrix and Steiner was nice, but you could write that out and nothing would change.
You're right.
But it was nice.
It was a nice pairing. Also, I think Steiner's like 10 years older than her or something.
Yeah.
It's weird
But they were in training together, weren't they?
because
Isn't that how she loses her eye?
I don't
This
know.
might be fanon. I don't know. I'm sure I've read it somewhere.
Let's look up
Yeah.
Beatrix. What's her age? I don't want the Wikipedia. Oh God, Beatrix is a real thing. So that's Beatrix Final Fantasy.
Oh dear.
What's her age? Which
I'm
Beatrix
trying.
age?
I think Steiner's only 35 though, mind. Is he 35? Yeah.
Beatrix is 27, 28.
Oh,
I
there
think
we
she
go.
starts the game as 27 and ends 28.
See,
So
that's not much of a difference.
no, I thought it was. I thought she was like 19 in classic, anime girl fashion, and Steiner's.
Yeah, she could pass for it.
Yeah. No, she's in her late 20s. I thought there was a huge age gap. No, that works
Yeah,
then.
that's more acceptable, yeah.
9, you can. 7 too. 9 and 7, you could write the romance out completely, and the game still holds up. Even 4, I think, you could write Cecil and Rosa, that you could just write that romance off, and I think the story
Easily.
still works.
Yeah,
I
easily.
think, isn't Kane's jealousy of Rosa and Cecil's relationship kind of like his whole driving factor? I think the game for the most part still works, but it kind of kills the motivation behind Kane, doesn't it?
It's a little bit.
It does, but like if you were just going to write out the romance, you could just write Kane is just jealous of Cecil in general because Cecil's a better person.
Because Cecil's really pretty. So
Yeah, Cecil's
Yeah,
also
sure.
a lot prettier, so
All right, fair enough.
Cecil might be best girl for all of Final Fantasy.
his
Oh,
hair,
hey, with that
yes.
blue purple lipstick. Oh yeah.
I mean, when they announced Ramza for the Cydia and you got to see the first full rendering of him, I was really confused because I was like, is that a girl? I thought Ramza was supposed to be added. We didn't talk at all about tactics and the lack of romance in tactics.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember tactics because I played it as a child.
I've never played Tactics, so I'm out.
It's a treat. You should, but one day.
I've literally never gotten past the first fight in Tactics. The computer plays like 99% of the fight, and I just get bored.
I'm waiting for them to port it to Steam, and then I'm gonna get it again. I have my original PS1 copy somewhere. I have no idea where to even start looking, but it exists. I think I have 8 and 9 somewhere too. Except my 9 discs are ruined, and
Aww.
yeah, well, listen, here's the thing. Little brothers are assholes when they're that age, when 9 was out.
Okay, yeah.
And permanent marker rings and leaving them on the floor under the bed for months and yeah, shit like that.
Jesus.
Well, the PlayStation was in his room. I don't know why, but it was. So I went up and I played 9, and instead of putting the disc away, put it on the floor, and then it got kicked under the bed, and then you know how that goes.
I'm sorry for your loss.
I think one of my 8 discs was scratched too, but I can't remember which one. It's been a while. I don't know where any of them are. And
Kind of
7,
scary, but it's like not an issue anymore.
Yeah.
Scratch discs, changing discs is like, nope.
because nowadays I take care of my games. 7, my 7, I lent to a friend who just had it and he was playing through it, and then we kind of moved on and lost touch, and then I eventually bumped into him again. I was like, hey, can I get my 7 back? And he was like, I sold that to GameStop a while ago, and I was like, oh, you fucking prick. And he was like, he went to give me $20. Like, here, buy another one. And I was like, are you serious? You can't just go out and buy Final Fantasy 7. Because this was, I think it was in the PS2 era. 12 was out around now, but
Yeah, it was rare back then.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Because nowadays I can just play it on Steam or PlayStation 3 or 4 or whatever. But
Or your PSP or your
The
Vita.
PSP. Yeah, let's not forget the Vita. Vita has to have a use.
I never bought the Vita.
Oh, it's a good choice.
I have a Vita TV and I use it. I play Persona 3 Portable on it, and I'm gonna probably use it to play Danganronpa eventually. And I don't know. I'll find something else to use it for.
Right. I wanted a Vita to play Persona 4 Golden, and that's about it.
That's the reason why I bought one, just for Golden.
See, because of the recasting of Chie's voice so no, thank you.
It grows on you. It grows on you. I was the same, but it kind of, you get used to it eventually.
Oh yeah, a game like Persona 4 that's like 100 hours long. You get used to it. I think you get used to new voice actresses and actors really quickly. Like Life is Strange, they recast Chloe in the prequel, and I got used to that like immediately.
Yeah, I thought she did a good job actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've kind of gone off topic a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? In fact, let's rein it back in then.
all right, good. So let's see. Discussing whether or not romance is vital. I think it's not. It's not vital. It would be nice to have a good romance again. But it's not important. Anyway, next thing is we ever get a same-sex couple in Final Fantasy? And I'm gonna say no. Because Japan is a little homophobic.
It is, but I think we might get like not a side pairing, but kind of a distant NPC pairing. Something, maybe.
Yeah.
That's already happened in 14. There's at least one or two same-sex implied couples
That's
among
the key
NPCs.
word right there. Implied.
Yeah.
Among NPCs. I think there's a quest where it's kind of maybe not completely outright stated, but damn near like, hey, I need you to go save my partner. And, you're talking to a dude and you go save his partner and it's another dude. And so, yeah, like I said, it's been a minute. Maybe I should talk to Reza. Maybe he might know. But it's definitely been a few that have been implied in 14, at least one or two.
Right, but that's the key thing. It's implied. It's not stated. Just kind of like how they never would say that Kanji was gay in Persona 4, and Fang and Vanille, they danced around, and like, because Japan has that like slight homophobia that they're scared to.
But then we're changing times, and you never know. There might be a.
Yeah. Also, Square
You never
is pushing more and more towards a Western focus. Like, Final Fantasy Union had a video today about how they're not going back to turn-based ever. And it's, again, because the developers at Square want to make the games more Westernized. So, maybe? Because, like...
Maybe.
Gross.
Yeah.
Like, I played JRPGs for a reason. If we're going to make them WRPGs, and we're not going to have much to talk about Square.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Final Fantasy is a JRPG franchise, not a Western RPG franchise.
I mean, they could always split off and do a different one if they want to do.
Yeah.
Just,
Like, when they made Bravely Default, I was really disappointed. I like Bravely Default, but then I was disappointed that Bravely Default 2 was a direct sequel. I thought they were going to, like, do another Final Fantasy type deal where, like, Bravely Default 2 uses a new battle system as a new story, but it's back to traditional turn-based. It was going to be a spin-off series that way. So, here's to hoping that they'll do that. Probably not, because Square makes bad decisions.
On the subject of Bravely Default, it was really interesting. They were interviewing the president of Square Enix at the time, and they were talking about, when they made more Western-style games or games that they tried to... This is before 15 came out. When they made games that tried to appeal to the mass market, they didn't do as well. But then they did Bravely Default, which is very much a Japanese RPG, and it did well everywhere. So it was like, maybe we should just stick to what we know. And then 15 came out, and it's about the most Western thing they've ever done. So Square Enix again flip flopping and making bad decisions again, as they're known for.
Quality of 15 aside, it did sell pretty well, I think. So.
It's a Final Fantasy game. Of course it was gonna... I don't know what was going through Square Enix's head. They were so afraid that 15 wouldn't do well and that it would be the end of Final Fantasy. It's like, no, if you put down a game that has the word Final Fantasy and Roman numerals on it, it's gonna sell, regardless.
Yeah. But it's a shame that they're never going back to turn-based. When we eventually do our gameplay discussion podcast, we'll have to bring that up in depth. But yeah, same-sex, I don't think we're ever gonna... Maybe not for a long time. We're not gonna get anything fully, because Japan and that homophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Very subtle. I remember when Tomodachi Life came out. I don't know if any of you have played that for the DS.
Oh, yeah, and you can't get with
same
the same
sex. And it got a ton of backlash in the West, and Nintendo was did the shrug emoji, wham wham. What are you gonna do?
Pretty much. That was their response.
You know what? There is actually something I forgot. In 14, you can get married, and you can have same-sex marriages, and and you and your same sex partner can kiss in the marriage cutscene.
All right.
So that
There we
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Same-sex
step
romance
forward.
confirmed. All right. Next up is player choice in romance, like in Persona or Mass Effect or Western RPG game of your choice. Do you think we'll ever be able to pick our romantic partner? I'm gonna again say no.
Yeah, Final
because
Fantasy isn't that kind of game.
it's about the story, isn't it? And I don't think that would
Yeah.
work quite as well if you get an option on, who to
Yeah.
go with.
Like, I think I remember reading once one of the big differences between JRPGs and WRPGs is that like Western RPGs are about your character's story, like you, the individual player, making a character and playing that story, whereas JRPGs are about you watching a character story, someone who's already written and has a personality and
Yeah,
so on and so
that's a
forth.
good thing actually. Yeah, because you're already playing a pre-made character basically.
Persona is like a bit of an exception where it's kind of a bit of both, but like the Tales of
Yeah.
games, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, they're all character has a personality and you're just kind of playing them.
Mm.
Yeah, I think really the only exceptions, and this isn't even for real, is in 7 we touched on it earlier. There are some dating sim mechanics behind the early part of 7 with who you can take on that date in a gold saucer, but that's really about where that begins and ends. And then of course, like I mentioned earlier, in 14, which is an MMO, so it just kind of makes sense. It's also an exception that you can marry any other player in the game. So
10 has the affection point system, which
Yeah, that's true. But
literally
that's only
doesn't change anything, but it's something.
you get extra
Isn't that only-
cutscenes,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That one
and it's
cutscene.
whoever throws Tidus the blitzball in his final overdrive.
Overdrive. That's what they're called. in
I
10.
tried so long to get it to be Auron, but he's not an option. I was there for ages being nice to Auron, throwing in potions, and then it's just like it's not working.
No, the Square doesn't support same-sex relationships.
Yeah, but what's sexual about that?
So yeah, I don't think that's in Final Fantasy's future. Having
No.
options, maybe in a
yeah, at least
spin-off
not
game,
line.
or like the MMO, where it's more kind of has that Western vibe where you're making your own character and playing it instead of playing a pre-written character.
It's westernized as they're trying to make Final Fantasy, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that'll be in the future, and then we can finally get the Noctis Prompto pairing we all dreamed of.
In 2087.
Yeah,
When they're still making updates for 15.
and when the remake is like just come out.
No, we still haven't heard anything about the remake in 2087. There's a new rumor that the first episode will end at Midgar.
Sad but true.
Alright, the next bit on here is who would you date? So, I think we
Zach.
gotta... How are we gonna work with this question? Who would be your waifu, your husbando, and who would be your actual partner, maybe?
Zach for all three.
I agree. Good choice.
Yeah, way.
Oh, snap.
Alright.
Sure.
Okay, Vaughn, since... Who would your actual partner, your waifu, and your husbando?
As an actual partner, maybe Yuna, because I feel like she's the one you could take you could take her to your parents' house, and then what's the phrase? Lady in the streets, freak in the sheets. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, hey, there was a whole music video of her and Tita's loving on each other in that lake. So,
That's true.
Probably also Isel from 14, just because I love Isel so much. And either Ferris or Beatrix. I
good
really have a
choices.
thing for. Yeah, I really have a thing for strong women. Any woman that could kick my ass is. Oh yeah, let's go.
Good choices. If you woke up tomorrow and you were gay, who would your husbando be?
Oh yeah, I forgot about husbandos. Maybe Oren.
Hey, that's a good.
just because Orin's a badass. Orin or yeah. We'll stick with Orin.
Orin's a good choice. Mine would be Balthier. If
Yeah.
Oh, the leading man. Okay.
he's the leading man, so I don't think there's another option really. But that confidence and bravado, so beautiful. Number one waifu. Oh God, this is a tough one. I think I've said before, like on the Discord and stuff, probably generic response Tifa or Aerith. I know it's boring and unoriginal. Or Ash. I like Ash a lot. I think it's an underrated opinion. Ash is top tier girl. Not enough people support this. It's one of the few things me and Leon see eye to eye on, I believe, in the waifu wars. So I'll go with Ash as the waifu and Tifa as the real partner.
Good choices.
And then you have Zach for all three for both of you two.
Well, if I had to go for a girl, that'd be difficult. I'd want to say Lulu.
Lulu.
Oh my gosh, I was gonna say Lulu too.
See, great taste.
Yeah. No, she's so cool. She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
actually.
she's
a
cool.
really great character.
She's like kind underneath like the exterior. She's really pretty. She's got it all.
It'd take forever to get that dress off, though. Jesus.
How many belts
I know,
did
the
she
belt
have?
dress.
Worth it.
I think that's the romance wraps it up, but we do have the Final Fantasy V Let's Play coming up in a month by the time this will air in March.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. I'm actually tonight I was planning on like making the schedule for it. I haven't played that game in like 2 years, so I don't remember like really what happens in it. So I feel like I'm gonna have to go through a bunch of Let's Plays and stuff on YouTube so I can see when the main story points happen, so I can put together some sort of schedule for that.
I played through 5. I didn't finish it because I got up to Neo X Death and I was too underleveled and I hate grinding with a passion. So I a year ago or so, and then when my computer died and I had to reboot it, I lost my save file. So yeah,
that sucks.
So I'm just gonna play it through from scratch when we start our Let's Play in March. But I'm excited.
Yeah,
I love 5. Everything about 5, the gameplay. I love how lighthearted and silly the story is.
Yeah, it's nice to have
Yeah.
a
That
nice
was great.
Like,
And I love Barth
game.
as a main character too. He's a great
Yeah.
main character.
Yeah, he's cute.
He doesn't get
and-
enough credit.
Yeah, he's a bit like an early Zidane in a way.
he
You
just
know,
goes with
Yeah.
the flow.
happy-go-lucky.
He's really
Yeah.
goofy and really funny.
Yeah, I like
Not to
X
mention
Death
it's,
too. He's my favorite. One of my
the-
favorite villains.
Oh,
The
yeah.
real star is Gilgamesh.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be interesting because I feel like a lot of people know who Gilgamesh is because he appeared in so many Final Fantasy games since then. But it's gonna be interesting to see how he was in the original game, and maybe that can even be a discussion question to say, oh, how did he compare to like what you expected? Because a lot of times, I think characters get warped a little bit as time goes on, especially since Square has so many. They have things like Dissidia and spin-offs and stuff to where characters make so many appearances. Sometimes it kind of loses the original concept of the character. Like I think Sephiroth is a good example, how the way he is in some of the spin-offs don't necessarily reflect how he was in the original game. Like in the original game he was mostly absent and didn't really say that much, whereas in the spin-offs he was like all over the place, and he had a lot of lines and you got to know him, like his personality and stuff. So
Or Cloud went from
oh
being
yeah,
stoic,
that's actually a better example. Yeah.
Stoic mercenary who has some identity issues to being emo boy in every incarnation since. So
And then
Yeah,
you got
so-
Aerith as well, who went from being like quite mischievous, naughty and minxy, to this kind of innocent waif child who loves everyone
Yeah.
and became really bland,
Yeah.
mm, it's really
So
it's
it'll be
7
interesting
characters.
to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because that game was like so iconic and had so many spin-offs. Like their characters went through so many iterations.
Yeah. The city
I think the only one that really makes sense as far as the way the characters have changed is Cloud, because with a lot of his spin-off appearances, especially when you take the city and I almost said Assassin's Creed, Advent Children, AC. When you take AC into account, a lot of these appearances take place after 7. And so the reason Cloud comes off as emo or depressed in 7 is that this is something I've had discussions on before. Is with 7, you have a lot of things that go down in 7. Cloud gets his memories rearranged. Aerith dies. The entire planet gets pummeled by a meteor. They don't really have time to really process or grieve or deal with any of those things in 7 because they're too busy saving the world.
Yeah.
After 7. Yeah, after 7, when you have Advent Children or games like Dissidia where they sort of have an amalgamations of themselves throughout those games, it's that point where you get to see how they act as real people when, they no longer have to deal with saving the world. This is the point when Cloud gets to actually deal with his PTSD of being in the military, all the things that have happened. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And losing his friends, Zach and Eris. So I think Cloud. Yeah. I think people should give Cloud at least a little more leeway when it comes to the way he acts outside of 7. But
I agree.
Yeah, other ones like Aerith and Sephiroth are definitely a bit changed up afterwards.
I think especially with Cloud, like if you see how he is in Crisis Core, he is really happy and not like a brooding, depressed guy. So they're doing it. It's very purposeful. Like you can tell they're doing it on purpose. It's not like they lost sight of the character.
And with Aerith in Crisis, well, she you can see that play.
Yeah.
She's, they tried to kind of dial her back from the mysterious wave.
Yeah. 7, I remember reading since you were taking it. I didn't have time to mourn. I think they confirmed it takes place within a week. Like everything just kind of happens.
Oh wow!
One hell of a week.
Yeah, and then also the city is I think it's a bad example because like all of the characters in the city are like whittled down to one trope and it ignores all the character development that they all go through. Cause like
yes, oh my god, they're really bad about it in the PSP games. Yeah. Apparently, the new game, all the characters take place. They are themselves after their games. I think the only exception being Noctis because he's kind of dead. But aside from that, they should be a lot more themselves in a way. Because if you look at Lightning, she's got her 13-3 outfit on. Cloud's wearing the Advent Children outfit, etc., etc.
Right. They also have all their memories in the new Dissidia storyline because they all remember each other this time. Because there's a couple cutscenes in the beta, which the beta's going on right now. And you guys, if you don't have it, you should get it. And we should all play together. But there's 4 story cutscenes you can watch, and like Cecil meets Furion, and they're like, how you been, man? It's been too long. And they like shake hands and stuff. And then Zidane walks up, and they're like, Zidane, you're back too. And Lightning meets Warrior of Light, and they're like, hey, so we're doing this thing again, I guess. And Lightning's like, yep, or something like that.
Oh, they're friends from work.
But the PSP games, because Cecil is really indecisive the entire game, like he was at a point in 4, which he gets over. Squall is a brooding jerk who doesn't talk to anyone, which he gets over. I mean,
Kane's whole thing is the betrayal. Literally nothing else, just the betrayal, and he's like brooding on that the entire time.
So it really just whittles him down. Titus only cares about hating Jecht. Like, it whittles him down to one trope. But hopefully...
didn't they like reconcile at the end of the game too? Yes. Like, they don't even hate each other anymore.
Titus and Jecht reconcile, and Kuja and Zidane reconcile. But that's it, I believe.
Then again, Kuja is kind of like... There's some moments with Zidane in the video when he's kind of like not as much of a jerk as he could be.
Right.
If I remember correctly, anyway.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new one with because apparently all the characters know who they are, and they like what you said, Vaughn. They're all from post their games, so like
that'll be interesting.
Maybe we'll get references to the other characters, or like because there's one of the trailers. There's a scene where Terra is talking to Squall, and she does like a very Renoa like move. So maybe Squall will be like, "Huh, that reminds me of Renoa from my world. Maybe I should help these people instead of being an asshole."
We can only hope.
Honestly, one of the things I'm really looking forward to the most is Ishtola technically already knows Terra and Bartz and everyone from their crew because Final Fantasy V and Final Fantasy VI exists as fairy tales in Eorzea. So I'm really, really hoping Ishtola has some really snarky remark about having to fight alongside fairy tale characters.
Be interesting. We've talked before about how all the old Final Fantasies are fairy tales in 14, and it's a missed opportunity because they also have the void. They could just be real.
Yeah. As far as the fairy tale thing goes, we know 5 and 6 are confirmed. I'm really hoping someone at one of the fan fests or whatever really just like calls out to Koji Fox and asks him which Final Fantasies technically exist in one way or another within 14. But yeah, it's as far as we know 5 and 6 exist as fairy tales.
Tactics
and
too, right?
there's it's tactics. Yeah, I forgot about that. Tactics, 5, 6, and then there's crossover events with other games. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that about wraps everything up. We have on here to discuss the discussion thread, which is which Final Fantasy game you think is best to start with, which is 10, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much. I have to agree. 10.
Yeah.
It depends. I think 10 is definitely probably the easiest one to say. I'd say if you're okay with old graphics, then I think 7 isn't a bad place to start. And if you're okay with even older graphics, I think 6 is a good place to start. I was gonna say 5, but I feel like 5 can be a little bit difficult if you don't know what you're doing. Because I remember my first time playing 5, and this was I think I had already had a couple Final Fantasies under my belt. I still found 5 pretty difficult. But yeah, if you want something that is fun to play and looks good, picking up the 10 remaster is probably the best place to start.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus. I know it is amongst the mod team, and it probably is amongst the subreddit in general. But that's our discussion thread for this week, and I don't think there's much else to discuss.
There's a Distant Worlds concert going on in New York.
Oh yeah.
I know we talked about that last. Have you guys ever been to Distant Worlds?
I
I
haven't.
haven't. I've been waiting for it to come to like the DC area. I really want to see it.
It is fantastic. Go ahead and throw that on your bucket list now. Like I
It's
said, we
all
talked about it
mine.
a little bit in the last. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit in the last show, but I have to say, holding back tears during the Distant Worlds concert was probably one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. It was fantastic.
They I guess this is slight spoilers because we got contacted by that publishing agency in the mod mail about giving away tickets to some of the future ones. Did anyone else
Yeah,
read that,
that
or
was
was that just me?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, as of right now, there's no plans because I asked the guy what he wanted to do and he didn't answer. But I think they said Cleveland, San Francisco, and another city that was, I think, in Canada that was out of the way for me. I was really disappointed because like New York is close, but it was too short notice of me thinking, hey, I should go to Distant Worlds. And Cleveland is the closest out of
Yeah.
those, and it's like a 2-hour flight or like a 9-hour drive, and it's like, neither of those
Yeah.
are appealing for a concert. So hopefully they'll do like, ideally they'll do Philadelphia, so I don't have to go anywhere. But anything else? I think we're just about good to wrap up then.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. Closing thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Happy Valentine's Day.